ShartimusPrime. Reading comics, toys are hella sick, hella whacking it. Taking bad hits, taking bad shit. Subscribe.
By the way, did you see the new Star Wars trailer?
Hey, what's up you guys? ShartimusPrime here, doing another Transformers action figure review on the Takara Tomy Transformers masterpiece MP-36 Destron leader Megatron. If you're trying to pick this up, you can't get it up.
Big. Get your big badass toys at BigBadToyStore.com. Click the link in the description below.
I'm excited. I am very excited. I cannot wait. Even though I did get the version that has the orange plug, so we'll see how that works out after I open this. We get a long life design logo over there, which is interesting to me. I'm not really familiar with that. On the side, we get the silver foil Transformers masterpiece as always. And then on the very back, oh my goodness, so many product shots. That's how tall the figure actually is. There's a bunch of stuff in Japanese over there that I don't understand. And then right over here, it says Transformers masterpiece again. Then at the very bottom, more accessories and stuff in Japanese. And then on the very top, we get Megatron again. And for some packaging comparisons, this thing is the same size as the masterpiece thrust. So you can see these side by side. They are the same size. Anyway, let's get to it and crack this thing open. And here's Megatron out of the packaging, and this figure is absolutely amazing. I love this figure. I think Takara did an amazing job with this piece. You ever be at a party or something with your chick, and then you notice some dude's checking her out, and then you put your hand on the butt and you're like, yeah man, I'm the one who's gonna take care of this later tonight, not any of you guys. That's what Takara did right here with this figure. All these third-party companies made a bunch of masterpiece Megatrons, but this one right here is definitely the true masterpiece. This is Takara putting their hand on the booty right here with this figure. It is amazing. The articulation is phenomenal. The transformation, surprisingly not the worst. I mean, any masterpiece scaled Transformers Megatron is going to be extremely difficult to transform, and this one has no exception. There's no exception over here with that, but not as bad, especially compared to the MP-05. This one is easier to transform than that figure. There are a ton of accessories that come with this thing, and I gotta say, big downside, you're gonna scuff your figure if you're transforming it. You may not want to transform it. Just getting it out of the package, it shows up in robot mode, so just to warn you, you're going to scuff your figure if you're transforming it. I've watched other reviewers, and they talked about scuffage, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to scuff mine. I'm not going to, yeah. I've transformed it twice, definitely scuffed it. Anyway, let's take a closer look at those accessories, and then we'll take a closer look at Megatron. Actually, before getting into the accessories, we have a lot of paperwork to discuss. First off, me buying this from Big Bad Toy Store, it did come with this piece of paper attached to the receipt. And yeah, and just to put it out there, a warning on top of the warning. If you still have the orange plugs and you have it in gun mode and there's police around, put the thing down, because those orange plugs are not going to save your life. And as with all masterpiece figures, we get this little advertisement thing right here, and then here's the collector card, looking pretty sweet. We get the new design, very nice looking Megatron, MP-36. Then we get the stats right there on the back. And then comparing it to the MP-05 trading card, you can see the two Megatrons right there from the masterpiece line. Right on, wow, yeah. Huge improvement right over here, man. And here's the instruction booklet, which is pretty good. Again, I like the art right over there. And then on the very back, we get some colored prototype images and everything. And then here's a product shot. One thing to let you know, though, as you can see, the fingers are splayed out over here, and you cannot do that to the actual figure. And the directions are okay for the most part. There's a couple of questionable areas, like, for instance, right here, I was like, okay, got it, gotcha. Following this, and then what? You smushed the legs, okay, I figured it out, but still, I don't know, it's black and white on the inside. We're used to seeing color on some of these, but oh well. So here's some of the accessories that come with Megatron. We get his laser dagger, looking really cool. We get this nice translucent purple. I do have some bubbles in the plastic on mine. I don't know if it's like that with all of them, but for the most part, I think it looks pretty good, you know? I like the purple plastic over here. Looks pretty solid. You know, nothing too much to complain about over there. I like it. You get these little tabs, so it'll port into his hand easily. And you can remove this right here and plug it into the Blitzwing blaster. So you get shapow pow pow. Looking really cool. I like that. And the Blitzwing blaster looks really good. Blitzwing blaster. So pretty sweet. I like that. Not too shabby at all. Okay, and then we also get this die-cast Kita Victor Sigma, looking very cool. I like that. Nice gold. I'm digging that a lot. You can definitely feel the weight to it if you hear me drop it. right? Sounds like a coin. Then we get the mace right here, looking awesome. So you have the option of putting it on this articulated chain, which I think is great. I love that. So it could bend backwards that much, and all of these can fold in that far. So that is really cool. I'm digging that a lot. You could also rotate it right here. Very, very nice. I'm liking that. So you just pop this off right now, pop that off right there, then take the actual plastic chain and port that in right now, and take the other end and port that in right meow, and that looks really good. I like that too. A lot shorter than the MP-05 ball and chain or mace, but this is a lot more cartoon accurate. And to demonstrate how it goes on to the figure, you just take this right hand off by slipping this downward like that, and then you just port this up in like so. Well, there's a little arrow. There's the arrow right there, and that goes right up there. So that's very cool. Now he's got the ball and chain. And he also comes with this alternate chest plate and 4 interchangeable faces and his mind control helmet, which looks really good. I always thought it was awesome how Megatron and Optimus Prime had like mind powers. You know what I mean? One thing I love about Transformers is that they're not just robots in disguise, but they're mutants, you know? They have mutant powers too, you know, like Mirage and Skywarp, Jazz with his sonic powers, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I just thought that was really cool. So here's the stock and the silencer with the plug attached. So this is how it showed up with the plug right over there. We'll look at that more in just a second, but getting on to the stock right here, because I want to show how it transforms into that flight stand, which I think is awesome. You just split this in the front right over there, and then you bend this back right there, and then you get this moving upward like that. So I think that's really cool. You get this piece right here that you need to push on the back of. So you push back there, and then this will lift forward, and you could rotate it around, and then this will port into the culo of Megatron. So just get that Megatron culo ready, and this is tough to do, man, but it does work. You just have to go ahead and share it right in that colito right there, and then come on. Come on, come on, G-sip. You know, Megatron doesn't really like it, but he's gonna, you know, he's gonna learn right now. There it goes. See, he likes it. He likes it. Then taking it out is even harder. Oh god, there it goes. Then I'm going to go ahead and rotate this and prep it for the next demonstration, because we have the silencer right over here. Now how I got this off was just heating this up with a hair dryer, and the plug goes pretty far in there. So you want to make sure that you're heating it up all the way over here too. And there's quite a bit of glue. As you can see inside, there's still a lot of glue in there. So I'm not too bummed out about it. I'll probably pick more of that stuff out of there as time goes on, you know, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not that upset about it. But anyway, this guy right here transforms, so you can turn this around like so, and you can go ahead and attach it to this piece, and then you get these 2 handles that come out right over here. Oh, first you want to take Megatron's fusion cannon, and you just slide it up. And I did get some scuffage from doing this. This is not easy to do. It takes a little bit of might, and then lift it up right there, and there's my scuffage. You can see scuffage, frustrating. Yeah, and it just slides on from the back right here. So move that forward. It won't go all the way in, just up that far. And then you can go ahead and take this piece and go ahead and slide this into the top of that right there, and bam, you get that going on. And then now you can pose your Megatron in G1 style, holding on to his accessories, which look really cool, and you can see it in the photo right here, right? Looks pretty awesome, doesn't it? But yeah, seeing this and staying true to the G1 toy, I think that is very awesome. I like that. And you can swivel it right over here, so that's pretty cool. I dig that a lot, and of course you can still move this around as you wish. Now, I did forget to mention that the bottom of this stock has die-cast metal for these feet. Not this part right here, but this part right here, so you can hear it. Metal, not metal, right? So I think that's very cool. Add some weight to it. Anyway, we get a display option right here where we could use the silencer. You just tilt Megatron's barrel backwards like that, and then rotate the barrel so that the sight is pointing outward. And then we can go ahead and take the silencer and just make it match the shape, and then we can rest the silencer on top of Megatron's shoulder like that. And I think that's pretty cool that we get that display option. And we can go ahead and attach the fusion cannon and slide it right there. So he has the fusion cannon right in his face, and he can go ahead and fire away. So, you know, that's pretty cool. Another G1 toy thing. I like it. I like it when they do that stuff. And to just talk about the fusion cannon for a moment, I do like it. I think it works really well. We do get some sounds here. I am very upset that Takara did not include the LR44 batteries. You need 2 of those, and I don't know if they know this, but it's really hard to get a reasonable price on batteries. I actually spent about an hour looking for LR44 batteries amongst my various Hot Toys Iron Man figures, my Apollyon figure. I just opened up a bunch of figures thinking I would find LR44s. Nope. So I ended up going to the store, and $8.63 later I have my 2 LR44 batteries. You just need a little screwdriver right there to get that off, and they port in very easily. And you get 3 different sound modes on this thing. So this first one right here is a transformation. You hit it again and he detransforms. Right, so, and then back to robot mode. And then the second notch right there, I believe, is the sounds. Oh, so it's a Japanese speaking Megatron. He has about 6 phrases, I think. Yeah, so wouldn't it be funny if like all those phrases were like really vulgar in translation? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Optimus Prime, I'm gonna rape your mom or something like that. No, that would be kind of funny. Yeah, I know. Thought that was a funny joke. Anyway, this last switch right here shoots the fusion cannon sound. So yeah, I like that one. So that one and the transformation sounds, the Japanese speaking ones, you know, I'm not too thrilled by it. But yeah, really wish that they included the batteries, especially for the price point, man. Anyway, just putting this right back on, as you can see again. Oh, scuffage! Yeah, so anyway, putting this on, I aim for these little tabs right here to go into the center like that, and then it slides down. So when you're taking it off, you just shift up and take it off like that. So that's how that goes. Now looking onto the face. Oh, doesn't that look great? Oh man, that is Megatron. I absolutely love it. I am very upset about that scuff on his chin though. That happened during transformation. Recommendation from me is to just remove the face completely or put your least favorite face on there while transforming it. Again, I was trying to be very, very careful, but still scuffs happened and I'm bummed out. I think this is the one that I wanted to leave the figure posed in on my shelf, but I'll probably use a different one now because yeah, it frustrates me, man. That really frustrates me. But other than that, I do like this face sculpt. I love the paint. The eyes almost look like they're glowing, like not just right now because it's, you know, because I have all these lights on and, you know, it's on camera and everything, but really it's just overall it looks like it's lit up. Just it reflects light so well. That metallic red just works beautifully for this figure. I love the color choice of gray, by the way. It is absolutely stunning. It just looks like how Megatron looked in the cartoon to me. I just absolutely love the color choices for this thing. You know, we get this slightly lighter gray compared to the more silverish gray that we get right over there. So he has interchangeable faces, and a nice little detail is that they added the faceless Megatron parts right over there that we see in the cartoon, made with this nice gunmetal. I really like that a lot. That is awesome. And we can go ahead and port on, and you just get this tab that slots right into that circle right there. You can see a very pissed off Megatron right there, looking very good. I'm loving that. It looks great. And he does have a hole in his mouth, so it's not just like a painted black, you know. They actually sculpted in the mouth right there. Love that. And then we also get the laughing Megatron. I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. I crack up every time I hear that Megatron laugh. I absolutely love it. It does have a little bit of a mole right there. So tiny paint defect, but I mean really for the most part that's pretty amazing. And then we get the battle damaged one right here. I still function. Yeah, so that's very cool. That was a terrible Megatron impersonation, but yep. Or he's just staring at RC or something, drooling at the mouth right over there, bleeding from the eyes. Anyway, putting back on the already damaged face because we're going to go ahead and transform this figure again later on. And I do want to take a look at the figure a little farther away. We also get the removable chest plate, so I'll demonstrate appreciate that right now too. And I love this Decepticon symbol. That looks really good. And you just lift this piece up right here, and I love how they kept sculpted details and everything. And then we can go ahead and take the damaged chest plate and just put it right on there, and that looks really good. Nice sculpted dents and everything, and I love how the Decepticon logo looks right there. That is really good. One thing I did not see coming with this figure are these translucent pieces at the bottom. I love this. This is really cool. It reminds me of the Masterpiece Prime. I love that. That is very awesome. I'm going to go ahead and take this off too, by the way, because I just like Megatron with the regular chest plate and everything. And this chest plate is not exposed during his alt mode, so that's not really part of the gun mode. One gripe of mine with this figure is I do feel like the barrel is a little bit too far off to his right, so I like to, you know, just swing this outward, and it kind of ruins the back of it a little bit, but to me it just looks a little better like that. You know, having it too far off to the side like that kind of frustrates me, so I like having it look like that. Now I really do think that this whole assembly piece right over here does look clunky, but it does make for a decent transformation, and it doesn't really bother me at the end because we get so much articulation. So it's a decent transformation and a lot of articulation. I think it's well worth it. Same thing with the very back right there. I've heard people, you know, mention how they're not a big fan of this. I can't say I think that's awesome, but it doesn't really bother me. It really doesn't. You know, just having a couple of little clunky pieces here and there on the back of the figure, come on, man, that doesn't really bother me at all. This kind of does, but again, I like articulation, you know, having these little crotch flaps right over here so you can move the legs outward more so. It doesn't really bother me too much. I love the added red right over there, and somehow they've made it so I can articulate it and transform it without the red getting damaged, so I think that's great. Same thing with the red stripes right here on the forearms, and I love how this piece goes into the forearm like that when you bend the elbows. I think that's great. Love that. And the hands look really good over here too. I like the hands, as I mentioned earlier, you can't splay them outward, and I'll get into the articulation in just a moment, but man, the way the legs look on this thing, he has these nice wide legs. Very, very good looking. I like this a lot. This whole thing, I don't remember seeing this on any other version. I don't know if that's supposed to be like that. It kind of bothers me a little bit, but not really that much. And we get the die-cast feet right over here. I can feel the cold metal. Looking really good. I really like the legs on this Megatron. And I like how long they are. You know, he's supposed to have really long legs, so I just think that works out great, man. Very, very pleased with this. All right, the articulation. It gets 10 out of 10 for me. I love it. Okay, the head moves all the way up like that. I think that's great. And you can move the head downward that far. That is so awesome. And you get side-to-side movement, and you do get head pivot. You get these butterfly joints at the shoulders that can move inward that much. You can raise the arms outward that far and rotate them forward, so you can really get the arms moving inward that much altogether. That is really cool. I love that. That is so awesome. You can rotate them forward. You get a bicep swivel. You get double jointed elbows. The wrist swivel side to side, and you get finger and thumb articulation. So the thumb hinges up and down. The index finger moves independently, and it also has a joint halfway through right there. And then you also get these guys, the other three fingers, bending all the way in, and they also have their own joint in the middle of the fingers right there. So that's really cool. So you can get them pointing like that if you wish. I don't want to forget the fusion cannon turns right over here, so that's very cool. You also get a waist swivel, which is awesome. I love that we get a waist swivel and waist crunching. Yeah, that's so awesome. I love it. Yes, yes. It doesn't crunch backward, but still, man, I love that. You get these hip flaps right over here, so you can move the legs outward very far. That's great. Again, I'd mentioned these pieces right there, so that allows the legs to kick forward that far, which is really good. And they can kick all the way back. You get an upper thigh cut. You get double jointed knees that bend in that far. I keep cracking up because I can't believe this is a Transformer that's this articulated. I just love it. The ankles move downward that much. They move upward. You can't turn them side to side, but he has a great ankle pivot. Look at that ankle pivot, man. Now to measure out MP-36 Megatron, you can see to the top of his head, he's at about 10.5 inches tall. To the top of his barrel, I want to say just a little over 11 inches. Now for a size comparison, here's the MP-36 Megatron next to the X-Transbot's Apollyon. And as much as I love the shiny silver paint, this does look better to me. I do like this a lot more. It's a little bit taller than Apollyon. I believe I can extend the ankles on this figure to make him look a little bit taller. I did like the height of him the way I have him right now, though, because he matched Optimus Prime really well. But as far as robot modes go, yeah, this is definitely much better. And to save me 45 minutes of my life of transforming, here's a Polygon next to the MP-05 Megatron, so you can get an idea of how tall the MP-36 would be next to the MP-05. And then here's Megatron next to the MP-10 TRU version of Optimus Prime, and Megatron is definitely taller than Optimus here. I don't really like that so much. I would prefer them being the same exact height, especially at the shoulders. You can see Megatron is definitely taller, but this still works, man. I still love both of these figures, and I still have my extra MP-10 Optimus Prime set aside for customizing into a Shartimus Prime if a very talented customizer out there is willing. Then comparing Megatron to some key Decepticons, we have Masterpiece Shockwave, Masterpiece Soundwave, Masterpiece Starscream MP-11, and man, this is so awesome. I just feel very lucky that all four of these exist like this. This is so cool. And then here's Masterpiece Megatron next to the G1 Megatron right there. And then here's Megatron next to the Marvel Legends Big Time No Letdown Spider-Man. Now I forgot to mention the orange plug attached to the barrel. Again, you want a hairdryer and go ahead and heat up a little farther down the barrel than just the top right there, because this thing goes pretty far down. Just to give you an idea. There was some glue in there, and I did use pliers, grabbing only the orange part and ripping it off. So yeah, it can be done, not incredibly difficult. All right, let's get to the transformation. Will you take us away, Bumblebee? All right, he still lives. Okay, so I'm going to follow the directions, and I'm going to go a little bit rogue on the directions here and kind of do my own thing a little bit. So transform at your own risk, but I've done this twice only. So yeah, so be patient with me because this is difficult, okay? And I'm sure there's like a YouTube video of some 5-year-old like transforming this whole thing in 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm flipping this and move. Oh, I want to go the other direction. See, first mistake right there. All right, and then with this panel, we're going to go ahead and have this swing out and then rotate counterclockwise so that it's facing outward like so. Okay, and I like to leave a little space right there. We're going to go onto the front and rotate clockwise and go ahead and shift that up. That's how you get that little dent in the chin. All right, now, oh man, the arms, these aren't really fun, but anyway, you go into the armpit right there, you take this piece, you swing that down, and you rotate that inward. Do the same thing under the armpit, take this, swing it down, and then rotate upward like so. You can go ahead and shift this down. This will swing downward like so, and this will swing downward like so. And then you take these little red parts, and you could just shift them and scooch them into that little port right there, and take this and scooch it into this port right there. And transforming these arms is not easy by any means, man. Okay, you gotta take this flap and move that downward, and then take the hand and cup it upward like that, fold the thumb in, and then collapse the hands. His index finger is going to be sticking out just a little bit like that, and go ahead and rotate that in and leave this out, and do the same thing to the other side right here. Just flip this piece down, then turn the hand, and then move the thumb down, swish the fingers, and move the fingers in. And then before shoving this upward, I do want to take this piece apart. This part is a bit complex. You have this little black piece. You're going to move that upward, and you want to take the little trigger piece and move that whole thing out. So showing it on this side, I like to move that out and then take this whole thing and scooch that away from the rest of the arm. If you would scooch away from the rest of the arm, and it's pretty stiff, but it does move. You're not breaking it by moving that. Okay, there that goes. And then connect these two black pieces like so, and then close that down, and then move the arm outward. This is so wonky. This little piece right here is going to fold all the way in, so swing that all the way in, and then we can get this starting to collapse a little bit. And let's see if I can get this right. I'm going to just move it downward like that for right now. I'll get back to that in a moment. Let's try it again on this side right here. Get this fake trigger piece, or the hammer anyway, move that in, and then we can go ahead and we want to get the arm separated right here so you can see the shoulder joint like that, moving that outward, and then we could fold this down I know this doesn't sound helpful, but you want to just use your intuition here and make the shape. As you can see right over there, it's not quite formed, but I'm swinging this piece in right here, and then smush, and then rotating this down like so, and making the shape, right? I would say in quotes if my hands weren't occupied trying to transform this blasted Decepticreep. This thing goes right into, see how there's this tiny little gray tab right there and then it flattens out? You want this piece to rest on top of that so that there it rests right there as you saw it latch onto. And then you can go ahead and scooch the forearm right in there. Then I think we're going to rotate this in and then flatten that, I think, or leave this up. I can't remember right now. Okay, so same thing on the other side. Make it a shape, and flatten the piece. And let's see here, get the shape. Come on, make the shape. Make the shape. Oh, yeah. This, again, right? You want this resting on top of that little flappity flap. And there that goes. And then smoosh. There we go. Okay. Now, getting to the legs, which is actually one of the easier parts of the transformation. Surprisingly. Detach the butt hooks right there. So we got some butt hooks and a butt hook right there. And then these will swing away. And then we have the front crotch piece. Oh, yes, sorry. Rotate 180 degrees. Don't forget the rotation. So rotate 180 degrees while you have the arms out and all that. So boom, there you go. Okay, butt hooks. Remove those. Remove that. And then go ahead and swing that outward. And it should swing down and out. As you can see right there, you get dual hinges. You really want this all smushed right here into the center. So that's going to smush together, and you want to splay these out because that's obviously going to form parts of the handle. Also, you get these little pieces right in here. You're going to swing that out and go ahead and move that away so that you're not running into anything, and swing those out right there. Now getting to the bottom part of the feet, oh man, this is so much easier than the arm section. You just take the heel and swing that outward, fold that out, and then this will swing around right here, not like that, but like this. Let's see here, let's see, there it goes. So you move the toe forward, and then you can straighten out that whole piece. To demonstrate once again, you take the heel out, and then move that piece out. You want to just make sure you lift that up so that this pin right here swings all the way out like that. And there we go, straightening that out once more. Okay, get this little above the foot piece, and you're going to rotate that counterclockwise. And do the same thing to this side. And then you have the shin that's going to shift forward. The outer or the inner shin piece right here is going to form part of the trigger, detached from right there. If you're thinking to yourself, oh, I can understand how this guy scuffed his figure, he's a moron. Trust me, it's a lot harder transforming these things on camera and keeping your eye on a viewfinder and all that instead of just holding it in your lap. This back piece right here, you want to separate that before collapsing the legs. So get that separated. Just pick that out there, and then you have this tiny little piece that's going to swing outward, and do that right there. And then, wow, this looks like such a mess. Yeah, the legs are the easier part, man. And then smush all that together like, oh, yeah, and then reattach that back piece, and then this is going to swing down, and then collapse, and then collapse and attach, and we could get to do the same thing all over again on this side. Yeah, all right, so detach from the knee, and then get the inner shin piece swung outward, and then make sure the back is detached. It always helps pushing on the bottom of this outward and then getting it to detach, and then smush. Ooh, yeah, there goes the sound effect. Boom. I should have this in the transformation sound so that, because I'm transforming it, right? You gotta make sure I get the right sound effect on there. So anyway, make sure that this is up and out of the way before we start smooshing. Ah, crap. You want to make sure that this swings inward when you smush, okay? So here we go, and smush. There. All right. Nice. All right. Now this is a little bit tricky. Going to the crotch of Megatron, and these fell out. I'll reposition that. You're going to make sure that this swings together. So you want his thighs close to each other and getting, come on. This is kind of tricky to do. It's really stiff, and you can't see it but I am sweating bullets off camera right now because this thing's such a pain in the ass. All right, anyway, so we get that going right there, get that going right there, and then make sure this is repositioned, realigned, and we could start getting the handle of this whole thing get together. I gotta put this back together because it came apart, and reposition that back piece right in there. This little thing's gotta get swung outward. That's very important. All right, there that goes. So let's see if we can get this all reattached nicely, huh? Let's see here. Will you be my friend, Megatron? Is it because I named myself after Optimus? Is this why you don't like me, huh? So I went with ShartimusPrime instead of like Shartatron or something. Is this your revenge, dude? Okay, there that goes. Kinda. Damn it. Alright, there. That's the snap I wanted to hear. And we get the trigger right there. Make sure we move that outward. And it does tab together right there. Now this whole thing's going to squeeze in. You can see these little hinges these little hinge pieces right here. That's all going to collapse inwards. So that's how that's going to look. But I want to get more of this front piece taken care of. These pieces right here, want to connect them and make sure that that tabs in properly. I think that's actually one of the earlier steps that I did miss, but yeah, well, yeah, we did it right there. Okay, and then this whole thing's gonna go ahead and start forming the front of the gun. Let's get that face in there, and then swing this together and swing that together, and go ahead and get this all lined up, which is really tricky, man. You know, like I said, these might want to make sure that this is flung outward so that it could attach. And there we go. There we go. There's this little hole right here that this part of the barrel is going to tab into, and it'll feel really nice and good once that's all done. And make sure that those hinges on the barrel are straight. And there that goes. All right, so a little on the sloppy side, but done nonetheless. Okay, and then make sure that that's moved upwards. And then we're going to take these guys and move them out here. I'm going to rotate the barrel for why the hell not, because it's going to be pointing that direction in a moment anyway. I think this piece is supposed to be up, if I remember correctly. And we're going to take the handle and swing that all the way around. I actually do want to move these guys up into place, but we're going to go ahead and move this all the way forward. So this is going to just swing all the way forward like so. And this is going to swing up and start forming the gun for realsies this time. So let's get that done right there. Yeah, get that done right in there. Okay, so when you're swinging these up, you want to make sure this screw goes into this little slidey section right over there. But before you do that, you want to make sure that these little black tabs right here, you can see where my finger's pointing, you want to make sure that that is tucked in underneath right there. And same thing with this one. So get that all aligned, because that's going to go over. Ooh, and I did have a piece of plastic break on me right there. Damn it. Wow, I don't know exactly or when that happened, but yeah, that little white piece isn't supposed to be there. So shoot. Ah, jeez. All right. Anyway, and this right here is supposed to look like that. Okay, so I'm not worried about that bit, but damn it, I didn't even notice that happening. I don't know when that happened, but I'm going to go ahead and move these pieces in and move that in right there, and then push this off to the side. So that should all tab in. There that goes. Then moving this part of the handle down, and moving this part of the handle down, and then moving these pieces up. And you want to make sure that, again, that screw goes into that little slidey section right there. And let's get that repositioned properly. And I keep, damn, this thing is freaking. There that goes. All right, there that goes in there, and then just get these pieces back on. They just don't want to stay for me right now, but there they go. I guess I'll find out later on what exactly broke. I don't even see a piece of plastic on the review station or anything, so that may have happened earlier. And there's these tiny little ports right over here on the side that I can't really show off at the moment because one side has it tabbed in, but these will tab in onto the sides right over there. And that's pretty much it, man. We have the safety right up here, and we have this little tab, tiny little lip that is supposed to, you can barely see it right there. It's supposed to go underneath right there, but it does not want to hang on. And that's really the transformation. And man, very, very hard to transform, but it's fairly solid. The only thing is, compared to some other versions, this is very, very choppy. I mean, a lot of lines in there. Nothing, seriously, gappy, but man, what a hard transformation. And again, not as difficult as some others, but still very difficult nonetheless. Doesn't look too bad. Looking at the Decepticon logo, unlike my MP-05, there's no scuffage right there, so I'm happy about that. That makes me very pleased. That looks pretty good. Well, I forgot to rotate the barrel. There's the barrel, and you can see some scuffs from me attaching the silencer right there and on the sight right there. So that is a bit of a bummer. That does bother me some. More scuffage right there. And here's the other side. Looking pretty good. We get the die cast at the very bottom. I thought this was supposed to be black all the way through, but, I guess having the gray right there isn't too shabby. Then, the very back of it does look a little clunky, and you cannot see through the sight right there, through the scope, but still, really good looking Megatron nonetheless. Very hard to transform though, man. Very, very difficult. I don't like this mode nearly as much as I like the robot mode. I mean, this droops down and then this sticks up, so it's just not really, streamlined like how I'd like it to be. So this is definitely a figure to be left in his robot mode if you so choose to. I mean, I personally, if I had seen my own review, I would probably just take my own advice and just never transform it, because it's such a good robot mode. This looks so awesome. Measuring this piece from the barrel to the very end, you're looking at about 9.5 inches. And measuring the height of it, it's around 7 inches. Now attaching the stock and the silencer, you want to attach the stock with the open end right over there, and just slide this through, and it just ports right in there very easily. I like that a lot. That's very cool. And then the silencer doesn't work out so well. No, man. I'm very frustrated with that. You can see some scuffage going on, and that's about as far as I feel as I could possibly go putting that on there. So that really bothers me. Another thing that kind of bothers me too is that I can't get it resting with all 3 points touching the ground, so that kind of sucks. I'm bothered by that. And having my tape measure out here, I did measure it to be at about 26 inches across. Wow. And then now comparing the Masterpiece Megatrons and their alt modes, you can see the MP-36 and the MP-05, and look how much larger this one is over here. And plus the paint, again, very nice silver on this one, much duller on that. But yeah, this is the right size for a Megatron. This is just oversized. I did add the die-cast parts right over here because I bought the third-party extensions. Here's the MP-05 with the third-party silencer and stock attached to him, and then adding the MP-36 right over here. You can see how looking at these two like this, it's actually not that smaller than the MP-05, but still, the MP-05 is huge. And if you want to see a pendejo holding this thing without the stock or silencer, there you go. The best part about this alt mode, I really have to say, is the trigger. You can feel the spring right there. It's moving forward and back a little bit. And the handle is really solid too. I do feel a little bit of give right here, but especially compared to Apollyon and the MP-05, I mean, this is just way better. So, but it is very, very cut up. I love this figure, and I only laugh at myself saying that just because it was so hard to transform. But trust me, it's a lot harder to transform while shooting a review compared to just, transforming it on your lap, as it is with any transformer. I do have some scuffs, but the scuffs don't really bother me that much. As much as I really love the figure, the scuffs can't really take that much away, I do still really love this piece a lot. I just think it's amazing. And as much as I'm not a huge fan of this alt mode, I still think it's a fairly good alt mode. I think they did a really good job with it. I will be leaving my MP-05 though in that alt mode, and this one will stay in robot mode, obviously, because the robot mode on this one just surpasses any other version of Megatron. And I really think this is actually one of the best robot modes for the Masterpiece line. So Takara, Tomy really outdid themselves with this. I just really wish that they included batteries. That really bothers me a lot, especially for the price point. You could have thrown in some batteries, bro. And if you didn't want any corrosion, just put that little tape thing around them. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, really like the piece. You know, transform at your own risk, man. If you don't need to see this mode, then I recommend not transforming it ever. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the figure. Let me know what you think of the review. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button for more Shartimus Prime videos coming your way. If you're already subscribed, go ahead and join that notification squad and hit the notification bell. If you want to see a photo gallery of images, they will be at ShartimusPrime.net shortly, as well as figures I have for sale and Shartimus Prime t-shirts and Shartimus Prime tunes. And if you want to follow me on the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, links are in the description below. Alright, I'll catch you guys later. Peace!
Posing action figures, I'm posing action figures, I'm posing action figures every day. I'm posing action figures.